That is a real catchy tune. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Phightins Phinal here on the Edge of Philly Sports with your boy Matty B. And that's the kind of song you want to storm a government building to. You know, it's the kind of song that kind of gets the revolutionary spirit in you moving. Folks, tonight the Fightin' Phillies in a huge opening game in a 3-game set against the stinking New York Mets took it to them, stood toe to toe with the great Max Scherzer. And won a game fundamentally. Did you hear that, douchebag? They won a game fundamentally. 2-1 over the New York Mets to start off this huge 3-game series. Now only 9.5 games out of first place. The dream is still alive, and we got a lot to unpack, and I have some people to help me unpack tonight. Would you help me welcome the Gobbler and Joey Mark? Boys, good evening, and welcome to the fun and festivities this evening.
The siesta to fiesta.
Yes, the Mayfair Monster. It is a good time to be a Phillies sports fan. I'm telling you, we're just getting started with the Eagles, but however, we got the red hot Phillies right now. And like you and I talked prior of coming on here, if this didn't feel like Red October, I don't know what did.
Yeah, no, it definitely had a playoff vibe going. I spent the extra $10 a month to watch stinking Apple TV just to feel like playoff baseball, but it did not disappoint. Joe Marks, did you agree? Did this game disappoint or did not disappoint? How are you feeling right now about the Phillies?
It lived up to the hype, and I think this whole series and the series that are going to come are upcoming. This is what playoff baseball is. I mean, we're not there, but we're here. Like we're inclining when a lot of the teams are declining, and that's exactly the place you want to be. So this series, tonight's game, especially tonight's game, you wanted to get off to this series to a good start.
Who would have thought we were going to get this W after the best hitter, the second best home run hitter in baseball, goes down? Who would have thought we were going to win this game? I thought immediately we're walking into a dogfight with 3 legs. Like, I really didn't think we had a chance. And here we are, proving that D-bag behind you that we know fundamental baseball, that someone's going to rise to the occasion when someone goes down here. This is scary how good this team is. And I'm just shocked of what they've done tonight, especially Bryson Stott right out 2 for 3 tonight. Whew, good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, it was a huge game, and right off the bat, and we'll get into the game here. I guess no time, but right now the present to do that. You mentioned the Kyle Schwarber injury. Could not have come at a worse time, but I kind of equate it now to almost the Bryce Harper not being able to play right field because of the elbow injury. So kind of inserting him into the DH role and kind of finding out what he could provide as a DH. Well, now tonight we got to look at what Bryson Stott might be able to provide as a goddamn leadoff hitter. I mean, a bona fide leadoff hitter who I've been crying for all season long. I don't think Kyle Schwarber is a leadoff hitter, and I used to, but I don't anymore. But Bryson Stott answered the bell right off the bat. Joe Marks, he misses a home run by about 3 inches in the first inning, gets the things going with a double. You know, what? And I'll ask Joe first. What is your opinion of Bryson Stott? I mean, this kid he's come like leaps and bounds in the last 4 months to an actual major league talent.
I go into 2 players that have come into their own on this team, and it's amazing to see. And that's Bryson Stott and Alec Baum. And, you know, these are 2 guys that came from high pedigree, where they were coming from in college and the programs they were coming from. They came from high pedigree. And so this, I mean, it doesn't shock me because they were supposed to do this. Now, it shocks me how quickly they did. They're being put in a really difficult position. And instead of folding, they are standing up. The lights aren't too bright for Bryson Stott and for Alec Baum. And Maddie, I've been here on this show with you plenty of times. Believe me and you have both bitched and moaned that Kyle Schwarber is not a leadoff hitter. And I still contest that Kyle Schwarber would have probably 30 to 40 more RBIs and the Phillies would have 10 more wins if he weren't the leadoff hitter. So kudos to you for sticking to that idea. Who knew if it was that it was going to be Bryson Stott. I'm okay with it though.
It's funny because I kind of want to go back to Alec Bohm. And by the way, Joseph hits in with young guys got it done tonight. Bohm, Stott, Verling, and Suarez all played key roles in this win. They absolutely did. And I really, really hate to give Joe, what's his name over there at EOP Live? Alex,
Joe
Sheeran?
Joe Sheeran. Sorry about that, Joe. I hate to give him props, but Joe Sheeran's it's been on that the Philadelphia Philly farm system maybe wasn't quite that bad after all. And obviously, all of these players here are all homegrown talents, and they definitely rose to the occasion tonight. I shall give them that. Sorry, I forgot your last name, Joey. You know I love you. But yeah, let's get into the lines, boys, because it's going to be a quick line, and we got a lot really the X's and O's to talk about. But Phillies would finish with 2 runs on 10 hits. Mets 1 run on 5 hits. 5 hits, folks. 5. And that was through 10 innings, by the way. How things got started in New York. Alec Bohm got it going by knocking in Bryson Stott, who led off the game with a double to make it 1-0. Then Mark Canha hit a sac fly to drive in Pete Alonso in the bottom of the second to make it 1-1. And that was it. All the scoring until the top of the 10th when Alec Bohm would sac fly Bryson Stott in to make it 2-1. And that's all you're scoring for the night. 2-1 Phillies in extra innings. Bryson Stott, offensive player of the game, hands down. 3 for 4, 2 runs, a stolen base. Phillies stole 3 bases tonight as a team, most they've done all season. Rhys Hoskins, who I'm starting to get concerned about Rhys. I ain't gonna lie, another very unproductive night at the plate for him. 1 for 5, and he struck out once. Alec Bohm, a quiet but effective 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs, and it's very quiet and effective. JT 0 for 5, Nick 2 for 4, Derek Hall 1 for 4, and guys, and we'll get to Derek Hall in a second. Derek Hall looked overmatched, and Derek Hall looked like this moment was way too big for him tonight. Gene Segura 1 for 4, Brandon Marsh 0 for 4, and Matt Verling 1 for 4 as well. On the pitching bumps for the Phillies, Ranger Suarez, maybe his best start ever as a Philly. 7 extremely strong innings, 3 hits, 1 run. It was an earned run. He struck out 4, and he walked 2, and he made a 2 hell of a defensive plays on the mound. Alvarado came in, pitched an effective 1 run or 1 inning, gave up a hit. Sir Anthony comes in. He actually gets credit for the win. Pitched an inning, gave up a hit, and he also had a walk. And then David Robertson, finally, after 3 years, we finally got to see something from him. Comes in and knocks down the save, his 16th of the year. Max Scherzer, 7 innings, but not very effective. Max Scherzer was hittable tonight. He's been hittable the last 3 times the Phillies have played him. He gave up 9 hits, guys. 1 run, 1 earned. He struck out 6. Altavino, Diaz, and Gibbons also pitched for the Mets. And there you have it, 2-1, folks. Let's unpack some of this right now. Let's start with the top. Rhys Hoskins at the plate is starting to concern me. It seems like we're reverting back to the early season. He's not hitting the bat. He's kind of gone cold, guys. Am I seeing things wrong, or am I seeing things right?
No, you are seeing everything right. He's been getting cold at the wrong time. We need him. He's the only one that hits the long ball, other than Kyle Schwarber. He's the only one that we can rely on with a consistent long ball shot. And now he's getting too cold in the water, which we cannot afford for him to be doing. However, like I said, there's guys who are stepping up here and there, but when it comes to consistent long ball, hitting, it's scary some when you have your best home run hitter not around to help bail you out. Very scary.
Well,
Joe, what about you?
I'm not going to agree, because I honestly see that he's putting up like very similar numbers, even despite how cold he was in the beginning and some of the lulls he goes into. I mean, this is a guy who's got 23 home runs and over 60 RBIs. I mean, this is a guy that is putting up like Kyle Schwarber numbers, but not even batting consistently like Kyle Schwarber. And what I mean by consistency, I mean Kyle would have 3 home runs in 6 games, and he would go on those streaks. If Rhys hasn't done that consistently enough, and so for him to have those stats, for him, maybe it's an outlier, but I just feel like, you can't expect. Look, we all knew that Rhys was not going to stay as red hot as he was in July. We knew that.
Correct.
But what we have to understand is when that starts to taper off, that it can't all fall apart. Like the house of cards can all fall down. And I don't think they have. I mean, I think you got to keep in mind he did deal with Max Scherzer, and the majority of the Phillies lineup did not do well. I mean, 10 hits, yeah, but it's clustered between like a Bryson Stott and an Alec Baum
Yeah.
and some of these
There were
other
a lot
guys.
of 2-out singles going on. I agree with you there. Yeah,
So
I agree.
it's kind of spread out. It's spattered along. It's not like we had a dominance over Scherzer, even
No.
though 10 hits would say differently.
Right
But
on paper.
right, on 10 hits on paper sounds like we did have a good hitting night. So why didn't the guys that had the power come through? Well, Scherzer's who Scherzer is. Now he's not Schwarzenegger. Like, I'm not scared of this guy, and I'm really getting sick and tired of people acting like I should be afraid of this guy, like he's the next coming of Cy Young. Like, let's calm down. Let's pump the brakes a little.
Now, Scherzer is not. You're right. He's not Cy Young, and he is hittable. And the Phillies have proven it a couple times this season. As I said, this is the last 3 starts Scherzer has had against the Phillies have hit him. Tonight was an example of them not taking advantage of all their opportunities. As I mentioned earlier on to you, Joe, before we came on, the Phillies Scherzer's pitch count was up to 43 in the second inning.
Yeah.
Second inning. He was up in the 70s in the fourth. I mean, they were working the counts. They were making him work out there. The Phillies just did not fulfill their end of the bargain and kind of put this game. This game was not that close tonight, guys. It really wasn't. It was really a one-sided affair. Ranger Suarez was dominant, and the Phillies were getting the Scherzer, and they just couldn't put him away.
And I want to touch on the Ranger Suarez because I think
I want to too.
A couple weeks ago we were on this show, I believe, and we had the guy on from Painted Lines, and I had mentioned that I felt like Ranger was not just serviceable as like a guy for a 5th starter or spot starter. I felt like he still had some juice left because I felt like for whatever reason he just couldn't settle down. This is the Ranger I know. This is the Ranger that is the stud, that the horse that we need. And you want to talk about a guy, a pitching rotation right now. I mean, Kyle Gibson's up and down, but you got Nola, Wheeler, you got Ranger being the horse that I know he can be, and you have Noah Syndergaard who's bounced back. I mean, even if you alternate Ranger and Noah, as 3 and 4, and Kyle Gibson as your 5, that's a damn good starting pitching rotation.
It is, and I'll give you to you here in a second, Galber. But Walter chimes in with the bottom of the ninth was the most important inning. It showed true character. Wow, and we'll get to that. I want to talk about that inning in particular because I think that was a sign of disrespect on the Mets side in that inning. But go ahead, Pat. What did you want to say about Ranger?
No, to piggyback off of Joe, a few weeks back, for me, and I've told you this many shows, Matt, that I told you that he's just a bullpen arm. He should never been called to the front line, and he's proven me wrong. And I've been wowed by him. This is like Joe said. This is the Ranger Suarez that we signed up for. This is we saw this in this kid. They saw this. The front office saw it, and he proved me wrong. And now with him getting hot at the right time, and who would have thought on paper that he was going to go toe to toe with Scherzer tonight? You would saw that you would chalk that as an L, but no.
He outpitched him. He outbowled Max Scherzer. He really did. He honestly did.
Who would have thought that? And he held his own. Scherzer, like you said, and this team though on the offensive side of the ball held his own. It was very disciplined at the plate. Yesterday was a wake up call. Yesterday was you lost to one of the worst teams. You lost to a AAA team. 3-0. So this was their wake up. This is the slap in the face that we needed to go ahead into the Big Apple to take down. And now listen, Max Scherzer, one of their best pitchers, now off the board with the dub again. So now we got DeGrom coming up. So again, we take another one from them. This, like you said, I'm not a believer of we're going to get this division. But I'm not leaving a false start out. It's on the Albert Road.
Let's just put the gobbler in his place. Hey, you need to get on board or get off. This is not going to happen. Me and
No, come on. Pat can have his own opinion. He can have his own opinion.
I understand that. I've been told that by my own showmates. I understand that, but you either get on or get off. You either
this is
are
a
Jeez,
on
Joe.
the
divisional winning
Joe is
show tonight.
Joe is just laying the hammer out tonight. He's just cranking me in the head with it.
Now, listen, and I'm going to get to Walter's comment, and then we'll talk about some things. The bottom of the ninth. So we all know the play. It was the runner on third, the very, very shallow right field, or I'm sorry, left field, and Matt Verling makes the play, and then he guns down the runner trying to score. Joe Marks, you saw the play, right? Did you watch that play?
Yes.
I look at that play as a sign of disrespect that the Mets did not fear Matt Verling in the outfield, because that ball was hit way too shallow for a viable opportunity to try to score. That was the sign of disrespect to the Phillies. What do you say?
I say that a lot of these teams out here are disrespecting our outfielders. I'm not just going to just go on to the Matt Vierling. I mean, let's go back a couple weeks ago to Nick Castellanos and the no Syndergaard premiere. Is, if it wasn't for Castellanos gunning that guy out of home plate, it would have been a tie ball game, and who knows how that would have ended up. Like there was perspective that these coaches, these like managers on these other teams, these coaches on these other teams don't respect the arms that we have in this outfield, where that actually you would think by now they would have learned, but it's okay. Let the town foolery continue, because the more that they're being dumb, the more we're going to look good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then, my boy Serdar, the Mets trolls here. Very impressive win by the Phillies. This is the kind of game the Mets usually win. Close one, run games, but 15-3 in their last 18. I'm still happy where the Mets are at. I agree, Serdar, but guess what? The Phillies are now one game closer to where the Mets are at. So remember that.
And just remember, back in May, the last time you faced the Mets slapped you in your mouth. They embarrassed you the whole entire spring. This win right here, I want to know what the vibe is right now in that locker room. We're feeling it as the fans. Like, this could be something more than just a wild card playoff. We could be just more than a one and done. I think this ball club is starting to feel like we could be a World Series contender. I know people are going to get themselves in a wet T-shirt contest because I said something like that, but I'm serious. I think this team I really think this team feels like they feel like they could be a contender now. Now they beat the toughest kid in the yard. They beat him up. Who else left? They proved they could hang with the Dodgers. They proved they could hang with the Brewers. Who's out there in the schoolyard that's really going to give you? Now you punched the fast kid in the face. You just took him. Now if you take 2-3 of this team, what's to stop you? What's to stop you from making something magically happen in 2022?
Listen, there was something that Joey Sheeran brought up. I'm going to mention some that Joey Sheeran brought up on Edge of Philly Sports this past Wednesday, and something that Al brought up on that same show. The thing that Joey Sheeran brought up was that they had swept 4-game series, 3 consecutive 4-game series in this season. Yes, they beat the Dodgers for 4, they beat the Cardinals for 4, and they beat the Nationals for 4. So this is to answer what you're saying, Pat, is not only did they punch the big bully in the face, but now the bully doesn't know which way to look, because even after this series, it doesn't get easier for the Mets. It gets easier for us. We had the uphill climb in the beginning. This is what Al had pointed out on the show, is now the tables have turned. Now the Braves and the Mets are facing the tough schedule that the Phillies faced early on in the season, when we were all like, oh God, what's happening? Weren't we supposed to be playoff contenders? And to even add more into your validity, Pat, I had mentioned on last week's show on Patterson Ave Fanatics what the possibilities are that this team could be a World Series contender. Now, with Harper, you got the cavalry's coming. Let's just be clear. The cavalry is coming. So watch out, everybody, because when the cavalry gets here, There ain't no stopping us, right? So I'm going to tell you like that. And number two, my feeling is we may not be a World Series caliber. Maybe I'm not ready to go that far, but I am willing to go. We might win the NLDS and get to the NLCS. I'd be willing to go that far.
Serdar chimes back in. How can you win the division when the Mets don't lose? Wow, they lost tonight. So the Mets are not built to have long losing streaks. Never say never.
Really?
You don't remember 2007 and all those other years where the Mets imploded down the stretch.
Don't get me
those
started.
can get stuck in wild card. Serdar, listen to me.
Can I
Don't
tell
get
us
me
guys,
started.
Cedar? You know,
Don't get me started.
winning division is like winning a participation trophy. Okay, that only gets you a key to the dance. What other than that, what does that really do for you if you don't win the big
You're right.
thing?
No,
You know
you're
what I mean?
absolutely right.
Billy
hits me up.
in the outfield.
Billy says the Phillies helped the Braves out tonight, but if the Phillies do well against the Mets, what would happen? What would happen to the Phillies catching both the Mets and the Braves? Billy, that's exactly what me and Joe Marks are advocating. That we believe, and I know that this for a fact that we believe this, that the Phillies will indeed catch the Braves and the Mets and win the division. And Pat says, "Listen, Pat, I got your participation trophy and analogy, especially in today's game. You don't have to win the division to get to the playoffs. I mean, we know that, but." I don't know. I don't mind putting up another flag up there in Citizen Bank up there in center field. Another flag. That'll work for me. But listen, I want to win the division. I hate the Mets. I cannot stand the Mets. I think that I want to win this. I want to come back from 12 games out, and that's why I think the worst we were. I was at 12 and a half out, and I want to overtake the Mets and win this division. And that would be epic. That would be 2007. That'd be better than 2007.
Yeah.
And that's why I've been making these posts on my Facebook. This is all hinting to me that this 2018, like the resiliency they showed you this past week by being down by the Marlins. Now they're showing you they're walking in the Big Apple with not one but two of their best hitters on the team. They're not home run hitters are not with them, and they found a way to win. They are finding ways to win without their with their strongest punch, and that to me is telling you there's no quit in this team. They got tons of resiliency. They are going to bring this dogfight to the Mets every chance they get. And like I said,
Pat and Matt. So let me ask you guys a question. When we made those off-season signings for Kyle Schwarber, Nick Castellanos, and all the deals we made at the trade deadline. Okay, did you ever see this Phillies team winning a pitching duel?
I'll let you take that first, Pat, if you want.
Winning a pitching duel?
Yeah.
Yes, I see pitching duels. Yes. Did I feel like that we were going to be in this position that we are in now? No. I just thought this was going to be your normal. They built a hot offense. I just thought the bullpen was a disarray. I thought they needed help. I thought it was your typical the bullpen was your typical dumpster fire. I thought they just could have worked on that more, and I didn't think anything of it.
The moniker was Bash the Bell.
Yeah, and right, that's where I'm at with this.
So for me, coming out of the season last year, obviously with Wheeler and getting hosed in a Cy Young, because he, in my opinion, won the Cy Young.
Mm-hmm.
I was very impressed and very happy with our pitching staff, with the exception of the Aaron Nola thing. Don't forget, guys, that's still in the back of my mind. We haven't gotten to September yet. But I was actually pretty happy because I thought our pitching staff stabilized, other than the fact that, we had to go out there with that bullpen game, every fifth game there in the second half when Eflin went down, and we didn't have enough depth in order to kind of supplement that. And I thought that maybe going out and adding maybe a depth starter they could have done. But then when they did sign Castellanos and they did sign Schwarber, I threw all those ideas out the window, and I was like, you know what? I'm down with winning 10-9, 12-10. So no, I didn't really envision too many 2-1, 3-2 games from the staff. But I've been saying this since day one. The starting rotation has been the one consistent thing that this team has had all season long. Even at the bottom end of it with Gibson and Suarez kind of ebbing and flowing and roller coasting, it's still been an above average starting group that it's really impressive when it's on. And tonight, Ranger Suarez pitched a playoff game, and he pitched the game one of a playoff game because he won against the ace of the other team. and he shoved it in the ace's face.
Yeah.
And that was really, really encouraging to see.
And just keep in mind, if this is a team in the Mets that we wind up facing in a playoff series, just imagine the kind of tape, imagine the kind of scouting report, imagine the kind of preparedness that the Phillies are going to have going forward.
Yeah. And Serdar back on. The Mets are built for the Mets are built for the playoffs. Dominant starting pitching, the best five. Serdar, are you like how old are you, man? You're like 13.
The Mets
I want to know
haven't
how old
won
this guy.
since '85. How are they built for the playoffs? They haven't gone back to the World Series.
Okay, yeah, it's to Cedar. Yeah, it's either you
Yes,
had Max
how do you say your name first of all?
Yeah, because I'm confused. But listen, you had Scherzer on the mound today against our fifth, okay, and you lost. So you know what happens, right? It goes back on full rotation. Soon you're going to be seeing the nulls of the world, and soon you're going to be seeing. And what happens? What happens when
The
Thor
Knowles
beats you
tomorrow.
up? What happens when Thor beats you up? You know, then you're going to be crying that you wish you had him still, right? Come on.
Yeah, Joseph says Hoskins. We have to realize is a streak hitter. Joseph, I'm well aware that Hoskins is a streak hitter, and everybody up here is well aware of that.
Yeah.
And at the present, he is bad as silent. If Harper was in the lineup, you could live with Hoskins' quiet bat. So maybe now that's a great. He brings up a good point, and it makes it even more remarkable that we're still winning without Hoskins picking up a mantle of Harper or now Schwarber being down, and that we still found a way to win a game tonight based on pitching and defense. When is that a statement that would come out of my mouth that anybody would expect to hear out of my mouth this year? The Phillies won a game because of their pitching and their defense tonight.
Even just saying defense and the Phillies for this year would have been blasphemy in March.
And just to kind of go back in time a little bit, Girardi in his time here in the 51 games Girardi was manager, the Phillies committed 33 errors. In the 61 games that Rob Thompson has been their manager, the Phillies have only committed 20 errors. So it is way down, and I know they're taking extra infield every day, and maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but I guess another reason why Rob Thompson deserves accolades for manager of the year. Honestly,
you mean you have to work to get better? I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
First of all, Cedar, just remember who's in your lineup. Okay, you got Darren Ruff. Okay, we know all about Darren Ruff.
I don't know. He had the prettiest double I've ever seen in my life tonight, right down the left field line. It was the prettiest thing I've ever seen in my life. It was a beautiful double. It was. I ain't gonna lie. I'll give Darren Ruff that. It was nice.
Yes.
So he says good luck against DeGrom tomorrow. That is definitely going to be an interesting matchup, and let's take a look at that right now, shall we? Tomorrow, 7:10 first pitch at Citi Field. Aaron Nola, his 8-8, 3.17 ERA against Jacob DeGrom, making his second start. I guess he's 1-0. With his 2.53 ERA. Boys, real quick, another pitching matchup tomorrow, another 2-1 type affair. I mean, what do we want to see tomorrow night?
Man, I just want to see the pitching duel. I just want to see a logo, like I said, maybe a 2-1 Phils kind of game, 1-0, something like that.
I hate to say it, but I don't think that's going to happen. I think DeGrom's going to get rocked a little because he did in this first outing. And I feel like it's going to continue. I don't feel like he's right yet. And, I feel like he's still trying to get his legs underneath him. You got to think, in the majority of the pitchers now in August are already warm. They're already loose. They're already, in a rhythm. DeGrom's not. DeGrom's back in March and spring training mode. Like, he's not ready for this. And, look, DeGrom's got talent. I won't deny that, but he got rattled a little bit in his first outing. I do believe that he'll get rattled again as long as the Phillies can capitalize. The key is make the runners in scoring position, make him pay when you have that opportunity to make him pay.
It's a very simple recipe, and it works very effectively. And I thought tonight when they got Stott in the first inning, that actually it aided us in winning the game. Now, we didn't get any sustainable offense after that, but it still put us up, and it still put the Mets in chase mode, and it got Scherzer's pitch count up because the Phillies began to be selective with their pitches. And it's a dance. It's a choreography. It all blends together.
Yeah.
Linda hits me with, "Oh my God, Manny, I thought you had Hernandez behind you when I came on. Thank God he's not there." He is here, Linda. He's right here. Keith, say hi to everybody. Nah, he's shy. He doesn't want to talk. But
I
he
like
feels
that.
real bad about what he said. So, Sir
Well,
says
I mean,
we own Nola. I don't really know. I don't really see that, but okay.
the last time that Nola faced the Mets was back in late spring, and he put up 9 Ks and 7 hits. So just
I
wanted
believe that Nola also tied Tom Seaver's strikeout record
let
that
me ask.
same game against the Mets, I
The,
believe.
the only thing that worries me, does Nola fall short under pressure, man? Like, this has got to be the biggest game of his career. This has got to be, this is everyone's starting to feel the '08 feeling again. We talked about that. Does he rise or does he fall under pressure?
Yeah, and that's a great point, Gobbler. We've all know it. The Nola September thing is a very well known thing, but we got August and September right now, and or
Yeah.
we got September and August right now. And does Nola rise to the top? Does he rise to the occasion? And that's a great point in a hostile environment.
We need that
Ranger
heat wave
Suarez.
to come back.
Yep, and Ranger Suarez showed him the path. So what does Nola do with that opportunity tomorrow? That is really an interesting storyline. I agree with you there.
He's got
Mm-hmm.
to stay away from. I want to touch back on something that you mentioned, and it kind of ties into Nola and some of his woes. You
Sure.
mentioned about Derek Hall and how he's made.
Listen, he was overmatched tonight, Joe. The moment was too big. He looked like the moment was too big for him tonight. Do you not agree?
I'm not going to disagree with you, but I am going to stick up for the guy a little in the sense that he's a Jason Worth kind of hitter. He's got to have the ball flat in order to be able to hit it far. I mean, I don't know if he doesn't trust his stuff, like if he doesn't trust his swing to be able to hit something like a curve. I go back to the game yesterday against the Marlins, and towards the end of the game when the Phillies were threatening and he was up, he swung at a really terrible pitch outside. I mean, he swung at a slider outside, and that's just because it's not flat. So it's not a pitch that's flat. He doesn't see it well, and he just flails at it, and it's not good hitting. Now, when the way that I tie that into Nola, his stuff needs to dance, and his stuff when it does, when that curve is moving, and that cutter cuts inside, and he can pinpoint it, he's a very lethal pitcher. But if that ball, if that cutter, or if that curve flattens out too much, it may be an ugly night for the Phillies and Nola.
Billy wants to know if do we think Keith Hernandez will skip the playoff series between the Mets and the Phillies too? No, I do not. I think Keith Hernandez feels a little a little vilified for what he said, or maybe he doesn't. I don't know. I really don't care. I really
I don't
don't.
know. I
It's more
heard.
locker room fodder if he does. So
Yeah, I heard the day that it happened. I hear like he was blown out of context or whatever, and like John
no,
Kruk
no,
immediately jumped on him.
I've seen it. No, he didn't blow nothing out. He straight up said, I don't like Philly games. I don't like Philly. That's what he said.
Okay,
Well,
feeling mutual.
yes, because if you saw the clip today, there was something I guess with MLB.com, and they said he had Chase Utley, and they said, Chase, you really hate the Mets? He goes, yes, I do.
Yeah.
So, and you got to remember that guy's had not just playoff Phillies playoffs against him, but when he was a Dodger, he slid into them on purpose, trying to hurt them. I mean,
And he hurt
again,
him. Broke that dude's leg.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it goes there. It gets like that. Oh, shut up, Cedar.
So he thinks 4-0 Mets tomorrow night. I don't see that. Did you watch last? Come on, man, get out of here with that. And this reminds me of the '07 team. Ellis, I agree. We've been talking about that. It's got a vibe to it. It's got a real vibe to it. So I agree. Linda's too bad, Keith. You have a good job. You have a job to do. Yeah, he does have a job to do, but no, he's doing his job, Linda. He's doing his job for us right now by giving us that billboard stuff to put up there so that the guys in the Phillies locker room can see it on the way out to the field.
Look,
So
he had more star power on Seinfeld than he did in the Mets organization. All right, so
he most certainly did. He most certainly did. Let's take a look out of town, boys, because there was other games going on around Major League Baseball and see how it kind of affected us. We are still involved in a playoff race, or we all know that. San Diego went back. Juan Soto returned to Washington tonight, and the Padres took it to the Nationals 10-5. But on a sour note, the Padres found out tonight that Fernando Tatis Jr. has been suspended for 80 games for failing PED test by Major League Baseball.
Wow.
So he will know his season's now officially over. He can now rehab in peace, I guess, and it'll probably stretch into next season as well. So 80 games for Tatis for a PED violation. For not good news for the Padres as they're trying to make a run at it. Currently out in San Francisco, the Giants are beating the Pirates 3-1. The Braves did beat the Marlins tonight 4-3. Phillies obviously beat the Mets, and the Cardinals beat Milwaukee. And that is pretty much your out of town scoreboard of all the games that it pertains to us. But the big story today, we catch the Mets a game. We're now 9.5 out. Now 9.5 ain't something to go reserve your spot on Broad Street quite yet, but tomorrow could be 8.5, then 7.5. Maybe we get some help, and then next week we got 4 against them in Philly, which, boys, is going to be a party. If things line up the way I think they're going to line up, and we come into that series about 5 or 6 games out of first place,
how
boy,
interesting will it be? How interesting will September be if that's the case?
Yeah.
Let me ask you, since like the it's great because I love this because it's going back that way because the last time this rivalry has been relevant was the '08's to run. So let me ask you, Matt, who on that Mets all time do you hate? What Met do you hate all time?
Ooh, my all-time Met that I hate.
From the time you watched this rivalry to now.
It's funny because they mentioned it on the broadcast tonight. The Phillies and Mets are one of the greatest rivalries in sports.
Oh,
But over the last 40 years, it's not been that relevant because either one team's really good and the other team's really bad. They never really catch each other at the same time. They very rarely, if ever, catch each other at the same time. So I'm going to have to go with Dwight Gooden. I cannot stand Dwight Gooden. I never liked him. Just Dwight Gooden. I'm going to go with that.
No. How about you, Joe?
I'm gonna go David Wright. I absolutely hated that guy. Every time, and he would point to Chase every time he walked up to bat, and Chase would just give him a head nod and look out to outfield to where he would normally hit the ball, and to Utley's corner and whatnot. And I literally just laughed every time. Every time Utley hit the ball, he will walk around, trot around third, and look at Dave, say, "Oh, sorry," and I just hated him, like furiously hated him.
Right.
What about you, Calvert? Who's yours?
I'm gonna have to follow suit with Joe. David Wright for me. David Wright. It just everyone
big.
trying to it's so funny because again, people trying to compare the '08. People I remember because in '07, David Wright was on the cover of the video game, and then in '08, Ryan Howard was, and people go, oh, and I worked with Mets fans, and they were telling me, well, he's just as good as David Wright. He's just as good as Ryan Howard. I'm like, stop it. I said, stop it. Stop. He's just as. So I mean, all that, and then Jose Reyes, and people trying to compare Jose Reyes to Jimmy Rice. I said, no, stop it, stop it. Like I said, my cousin Art, who's a living, breathing Mets weasel. He like I said, he takes me to the games. We have to sit with all those Met maggots. It disgusts me. Like I said, I don't like the town. I don't like the team. I got my band card from New York. I just I can't stand it. I can't stand them all. METS. My entire team sucks. Get it right. I'm sorry.
All right, fellas. Listen, I think that's going to wrap me up and wrap us up for the night. But it's been a pleasure cutting it up with you. A great way to start off potentially one of the best or most important stretches of baseball that this team has played in quite a while. Linda, one last time with Linda. I wasn't able to watch the game, but I did see the play-by-play on my phone. Not the same bit, but yeah, it was a great game, Linda. You should go and YouTube it tonight. It was really awesome. So yeah, that's going to wrap us up tomorrow. Nola DeGrom game 2. We have another opportunity in front of us to get another game. And the march to first place begins. Any parting shots, Joe Marks?
Not much. I got to get myself ready for a little bit of an interesting show tomorrow morning. Join me and the boys for breakfast with the boys. Patterson and Fanatics.
I gotta pay some bills. Thank you. Go ahead, Pat. Do you have any parting shots?
No, because unlike Joe, us morning boys have to prepare for our mornings. I gotta go to work, and then Sunday morning I have golf morning. So, but look, real fast though, this is, hell, this is the best time of the summer. We got football. I'm rushing. I can't wait for tomorrow. It's like I'm looking towards the next Phillies game. Like I'm juiced up, man. I'm pumped.
Yeah, that was really important because I'm we're watching the game. I'm watching the Phillies game and there's an Eagles game on. It definitely had a fall vibe to it today, and
Yeah.
it's a great time of the
Yeah,
year.
I almost feel like I cheated on my wife because I was like I couldn't get the Phillies. Like I want to watch the Phillies more than the Eagles. I get it. Everyone's pumped up for the Eagles' preseason movement. Oh my God, this is like we're in the tail of a playoff season, man. I can't chalk that up. You know
Well,
what I mean?
I'll give you my Eagles comment real quick about tonight. Reed Stinnett is a stiff, and he needs to be run out of town. And my
I didn't
second
even know he was there. I was like,
man,
who the hell is this
oof,
guy?
man.
I thought
If
Carson
Carson Strong,
Strong.
if Carson Strong loses out to that dude, Carson Strong needs to hang it up and never play quarterback.
Why didn't Carson Strong get any snaps?
I don't
I
know,
was
but he
looking forward
probably
to it.
will. He's going to. You know why? Because this week Gardner Minshew will be traded because Zach Wilson went down.
You stole
And
my thunder. Yeah, I
Gardner
saw
will
it.
go for a second round pick,
Second.
and then second
Second.
round pick. Oh, they'll try
First
to give
round.
a first.
First.
Well, Douglas won't give him a first. They'll give him a second, and it'll be a race between Gardner or Stinnett and Strong to be the backup. Strong wins the backup job, and Carson Strong is your starting quarterback by week 9. That's
Remember,
my bold.
Howie has connections to the Jets front office.
Yep.
So, just saying.
Gardner Minshew is going to be a Jet. All right, let's pay some bills here. Listen, the network is growing and growing and growing. It's actually grown since this slide came out, but I'm not sure if I can talk about that yet. But Mondays, don't forget the the Flyers podcast, Broad Street Bully podcast, Devereaux Sports, and the Sully Squad on Mondays at 6. Tuesdays at 9 is my show, Talking Philly Sports with Matty B. Wednesdays at 7, Philly Press Box Radio. They had Kevin Riley on, and then the flagship show, EOP Live, Joey and Big Al on Wednesdays at 8:30. Kyle Quinn, the benevolent Kyle Quinn, returned to the airwaves this week in the Birds IQ pod. I would imagine he's back now until the end of the football season, so you can catch him Thursdays at 7. The Attack of Third, the Union podcast with Austin and Gustav,
Yes.
or Gustavo, at Thursdays at 9, and then the Patterson Fanatics Saturday mornings at Breakfast with the Boys, and then the Gobbler himself will be having John Bartrand on his show Sunday morning. So definitely catch that out. That's going to be a good one, huh, Pat?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Can't wait to talk to my man John.
And then wrap up your week with the lacrosse, the Philly lacrosse and beyond. And don't forget, if you're having a great time in life, and then all of a sudden you're not, David Cherry is there for all your workman's compensation, motor vehicle accident, personal injury, or criminal law. Give him a holler at 610-565-0300 for all of your needs. And don't forget me. This is my original podcast. Before I was a EOP internet sensation, I hosted a podcast, which I still do. It's called Talking Philly Sports with Matty B. It's kind of kitschy, isn't it? Available where all your podcasts that you get are available. So, folks, boys, it was an honor. It's a privilege. I enjoyed it tonight. I look forward to tomorrow and beyond. And go Phils. And I got one last thing to ask, guys. What are you missing? Harry the K, what you got?